beautiful people, welcome back to my channel, you guys. Thanks for tuning in today. Today's video is going to be a get ready with me video, and it's gonna be story time. And this time I'm gonna be telling you my life story of how I grew up in the province of Dumanjug. And Dumanjug is this little tiny province in Cebu, Philippines, and it's about a 3-hour drive south from Cebu City. And I want to tell you guys how my life was through pictures and memories, and I wanted to make this video because I want to share my life story and shed some light on how I grew up in the province. I also wanted to create this video so that it serves as like a time capsule to one day show my kids. So I hope you guys enjoy, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, and if you end up liking this video, then please give it a thumbs up at the end. So let's get started. So I've got my brows on already. Just to save time, I'm going to start out with this Prime and Peach from Too Faced to prime my eyelids. So my story begins in Dumanjug, and Dumanjug is a little province in the Philippines in the island of Cebu, and it's about 3-hour ride south of Cebu City. If you're wanting to go see the Kawasan Falls, you would hit this province on the way there. Let's see, I'm gonna go in now with the Max paint pot as a base. So I was born in Cebu City in the hospital called Southern Islands. It was called Southern Islands before. Now I think it's renamed to Vicente Soto Memorial Hospital. But yeah, my birth mom said that I was the only one who was born in the hospital. My brothers were born at home in Dumanjug. So I was born the youngest out of 4 children and the only girl. So when I finally came along, my birth dad was so happy because for a long time he's been wanting a girl. So I became daddy's little girl, and he named us after monsoon wind directions. So for example, my name Kanaway means monsoon wind coming from the northwest, and my brothers are named Amihan, the oldest, Habagat, the second one, and Timog. I think Timog means monsoon wind coming from the south. I don't know about the other ones. I should look that up. But yes, we were named after monsoon winds because my dad was a fisherman. So growing up in Dumanjug, we lived in this, I don't want to say shack because that sounds bad, but we lived in a house that was made out of bamboos, coconut leaves, something like this. This one looks nicer. Ours was a little worn down, but it looked similar like that. So our house was a 2-story house. The upstairs was just 1 floor, no rooms. That's where we all slept in. We slept in banigs, which are sleeping mats basically made out of coconut leaves. And the first floor was where the kitchen was, the dining room, and the living room. So yeah, and it was like 100 yards from the beach. So that was awesome. That was the awesome part of it. Let's see what's next. Oh, so back to my makeup. I'm gonna go in with this Day to Night by The Balm, and it's in the shade, what shade are you? I don't know what shade this is, but it's called Lombard Street, and it's this brown shimmery color, and I'm gonna be putting this all over my eyelid using this Farah brush that I got from Ipsy. Anyways, back to the story. So that was my house, and the things that we would eat was basically fish and rice, because my dad was a fisherman and that's all we could afford. And the rice that we would eat wasn't even like the rice that we eat here, you know. It was made out of corn, like grinded up corn. It was called mais, like this. So that's what we had almost every day. And my dad would, you know, sell the fish that he caught in the market, and I would go with him, and that's how we got our money, selling fish. And so food like bread, apples, soft drinks was like a luxury for us, I guess, because, you know, we just had fish and rice most of the times. And so when I had those kinds of food, I would basically savor it and make it last as long as I can, because I didn't have that as often. Getting, like, drinking water was a mission, because, you know, we didn't have it at home. So we would have to walk, I don't know how far, but to me it was very far since I was little back then. I want to say like half a mile walk. So that's a mile walk, you know, back and forth. And we would carry like these big jugs right here. So going to the well or the water pump was fine, but going back home was a mission because those things were so heavy. So that's what my brothers and I would do, like 3 times a week, just to get drinking water. Taking a shower or, you know, washing ourselves was also done at a well like this. It was like a communal well. That's where we washed our clothes, because we didn't have washing machines, we didn't have dryers, so that's where we washed our clothes and took a shower. So speaking of wells, one time my friends and I were playing around, you know, dunking this bucket with a rope in it, dunking it back up and down in the well, and there was 3 of us, I think, and one of my friends skipped dunking her bucket even though it was already filled with water. And so she kept doing it, and then all of a sudden, I guess the bucket gained momentum and it became way heavier than she was, and all of a sudden she went flying inside the well. And we started freaking out, running to go get the adults so that we could get her. Thank God she could swim, so she was like in the well swimming and freaking out. And so I'm using this maple color from the Nudes palette from Too Faced as a transition color. So we went to go get the adults to go fetch her, basically get her out of the well, and they were able to, because this well was a little deeper, so we had to, you know, ask for help from the adults. And so I'm pretty sure it was very traumatic for her. But yeah, and then one time my friends and I again were playing at a different well, and this well wasn't as deep as the other one, but again we were playing and we saw this coin, which is peso in Philippines, and you know, we were like, hey dude, we could buy candies with that thing. And so my dumba decided to volunteer to get the peso from the well. So they lowered me down, but it started getting murky because I was inside it, and so I started freaking out because I couldn't find the peso and it started getting murky. So I was like, get me out, get me out, get me out. So yeah, but did I get the peso? No. But they were able to get me out, and I never did that again because that was scary as hell. Going back to the fact that my dad was a fisherman, he would often take me with him to go fishing, and we would ride in something like this. It's called a sakayan, or others would have pambots like this one, but ours, we just had a sakayan. And pambots are like mechanized one where you don't have to paddle out with a paddle. So I would go with him in his sakayan and go fishing. And so one time I went with him, and he was finishing up putting his nylon away. And what my dad does is wrap the nylon around his arm like that, right? So that it can be in, so it doesn't get tangled. So as he was bringing it in, I guess the nylon with the hook whipped around, and at the same time I had my mouth open, and guess where the hook ended up? It went inside my mouth and caught the inside of my cheek. So yeah, I started freaking out, and my dad was like, calm down, I'll get it out. But yeah, that was traumatic. It hurt so bad. But I still loved going fishing with my dad. I was daddy's little girl. So yeah. So next I'm gonna take this swan color right here for my brow bone. Oops, it's getting into my brows. No. Okay, so moving on. Let's see. Oh, one time my dad had asked me to go get my mom, and so I was like, yeah, okay, sure, I'll go get her. But on the way to go get my mom, I got distracted seeing my friends playing around with this bamboo that was sticking out of this roof, and they were hanging on it like they were lechon, like this. So I was like, hey, that looks fun, I want to join. And so we were playing, and it came to my turn again, and my hands started getting so sweaty, and I ended up slipping, you guys. And I did not just land on the ground, I landed my head on a piece of rock. And so of course I started bleeding, but not just bleeding like drippings, I was bleeding profusely from my head to all the way down to my legs, from head to toe basically. And my friends started freaking out. They were like, go call Dory, which is my mom, and they were able to find her. Thank God one of my neighbors had a Vespa, and he was able to take us to the clinic. I just remembered, they didn't even take me straight to that clinic that I got my head stitched at. They went to like the first one that was closest, and I think she was closed, and so we went to a second one and they were closed also. So it took us a third time to find a clinic that was open, and finally they were able to stitch me up. And so after I came back home, my dad found out what had happened, and guess what, guys? He didn't even though I was daddy's little girl, he did not comfort me at all. What he ended up doing was whipping me because I had not listened. So he was like, that's what you get for not listening, and he ended up whipping me with, I can't even remember what he used, a belt, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that's when I learned to always listen to my parents. So that was when I was around 5, because my dad was still around, and I remember him passing away when I was like 5 or 6 because of stomach cancer, because he drank a lot. So after that, that's when my family basically fell apart, and that's when I started going to school, and I hated it because I felt like an outsider, and I knew I was poor, and sometimes I didn't have food to bring to school. I didn't have lunch, and sometimes of course I would starve until I got home. I didn't feel smart. I hated going to class because there was like 30-40 kids in one room with one teacher. Now I'm gonna go in with Maybelline's Colossal Big Shot Waterproof Mascara for my lashes, so we can get to our fake lashes. Okay, so school wasn't great. I hated going to school, like I said, and I had to walk to school like 2 miles one way and then 2 miles back, so 4 miles every single weekday because I didn't have transportation. I didn't even have a bike, so that's all I could do, walk. And my brother Timog hated it too, and he would often skip school, so of course he didn't learn much growing up. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on my fake lashes. Alright, lashes are on, and then I'm going to be using the NYX Epic Ink liner for my eyeliner, and I'm going to be doing that off camera, so I'll be right back. Alright, lashes are on, eyeliner is on, and so I'm going to go ahead and take the Balm This Day Tonight color again for my lower lash line. And so moving on with my story, like I said, after my dad died, my family kind of fell apart, and my mom had a hard time taking care of the 4 of us. And so my mom would often leave me with my eldest brother Amihan because he had a wife already, and so he was starting his own family. And so she would leave me with him often as she went to go find work in Manila, which is the capital of the Philippines. And so she could send money to us. And so getting food became a little bit harder for us. And what my brother Timog and I would do was join this random funeral burial that would happen in our province. We didn't know who the family was, but my brother and I and some of our friends would often wait till the burial was finished, and what would happen is that they would have snacks like juice and sandwiches, and so we would wait till it was done, and when it was done we would ask the main person, the main family member of that random funeral burial if we could have the leftovers, and often they would give it to us, and that's how we got food for some of the days. And we would bring the leftovers to my family, and we got food that way. And sometimes during Dia de los Muertos, which is Kalag-Kalag or All Saints Day in the Philippines, so you know how people would leave food for their loved ones that passed away on their gravesite. My brother and I and my friends would wait till they were gone, and we would this sounds really bad and sad at the same time, we would grab those food and bring it home to our families because we needed that food. And so yeah, that's what we would do sometimes. Let's see what else. My brother and I and my friends again would often steal fruits, especially mangoes and tamarind, from this Spaniard guy that was one of the rich people in our province, and we would steal his mangoes, his fruits, and every time he caught us we would run for our lives, and I think that's how we became really fast runners. So yeah, we often found ourselves stealing fruits, vegetables from other neighbors who had them because we didn't have food. And that's how life was like when we were trying to get food. Next, I'm gonna take this Clinique eyeliner for my bottom waterline. Alright, well, enough with the sad parts of growing up in the province. Let's move on to fonder memories that I had, which was the Sinulog, which was a festival celebrating the Santo Niño, which is Jesus, baby Jesus, I guess. So I remember it being so colorful. It was kind of like a reunion for families. There was a bunch of street foods, really, really good street foods. My mom used to make this rice made inside a coconut leaves. She would form the coconut leaves into like a heart, and it was called puso because puso means heart. And she would put the rice in there, not the maize rice, but rice that we have here, and she would put it in there and cook it in the coconut leaves, and it would just be one of those really, really good flavored rice. And she would sell those with the street vendors. I remember eating red hot dogs, chicken feet. I know it sounds gross, but it was really good. Chicken intestines called isaw, I think. Isaw, yeah. And I remember those street foods just being really, really yummy. And every time I go back to the Philippines, I always look for those street foods because it just brings back really good memories. Okay, back to makeup. I'm gonna take this as my face primer. Let's see. Sinulog would happen like for a few days, and that's what we would all do, just play around, celebrate, have like a contest, beauty contest, of course, pambot races. I think my brother Habagat would often play on those pambot races. Those was really fun because people decorate their pambots and also decorate their floats. Oh my gosh, if you've never seen Sinulog floats, you need to go see them. They are so beautiful and so creative, and it just made everything like so colorful. But yeah, Sinulog was always a fun time. Alright, let's see. Okay, back to makeup. I'm gonna be taking this Korean Sun Milk cushion thingy. It's called Pera, I guess, and it has SPF 50, so which is good. Next, I'm gonna go in with my Pro Concealer to hide those dark spots that I have. And there goes the top. And the shadows. Alright, next I'm gonna go in with my foundation, which is Warm Beige in Too Faced again. Let's see. Well, I've been talking about Dumanjug, but I haven't really shown you guys what it looks like. So I'm gonna show you guys some of the things that are still there from when I was still living. So one of the things that are still there is this church right here, and it's called St. Francis of Assisi Parish Church, and it's one of those like Spanish churches, and it's beautiful. My brother Amihan is one of the people that does the upkeep of that church. And this park right here, I can't remember what it's called, but it's still there, and it's across the church. It's literally across from it, and they have that Dumanjug sign, the I love Dumanjug sign there now. Let's see. This is the school that I used to go to. It was called Dumanjug Central. It looks really good now, but it didn't look as good before. Let's see. Let me finish this foundation and I'll show you guys more of Dumanjug. Alright, so here are some other pictures of Dumanjug. This is like we called it dikes because that's what they're called. They protect the houses from, storms coming from the ocean. Those dikes were such a fun memory for me because my friends and I often played on those things. Oh, this is one of the jetties that my friends and I often would play. It was a jetty that was stretched out onto the ocean, and I guess one of the monsoons had destroyed it, and so only the tip was left behind. And it was awesome because my friends and I would often swim out to it during high tide time, and we were able to stand on it. It looked like we were standing on water. And let's see. Oh, tricycles like this was often the form of transportation for us when I was still living there. I'm gonna be taking this Maybelline multi-concealer for my under eyes. But yeah, for the most part, that's my story. That's how life was like living in the province. I mean, it wasn't easy, but those were the simpler days, and I miss it, just being able to have not a care in the world when it came to like playing. Time has changed, things have changed, and Dumanjug will always have a special place in my heart. I hope to one day, buy land there, I guess, because I want to build a house for my family, not for touristy reasons. Alright, let's finish this makeup up with contour. I'm going to take this True Complexion contour palette. Next, I'm going to be taking this Tarte blush. And for my highlighter, I'm going to be using the same palette because it's a contour and highlighter palette. Alrighty, next, I think last is just the lips. Today I'm gonna be using Kat Von D's Lolita. It's really pretty color. Let's put this bad boy on. Alright, that is the lip color. Isn't it so pretty? So yes, that's my story, and here is the final look. So I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, then please give it a thumbs up. Like I said before, I made this story so that I could share it, and I love sharing my story to people. It brings back, you know, sad and happy memories that I don't want to forget. And I made this video, like I said, to serve as kind of like a time capsule, I guess, and I want to be able to one day show this memory to my kids. So thank you again for tuning in, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.